This is the Red Podcast.
This is episode number 61. We're talking about guerrilla marketing. There's a new book. It's called Guerrilla Marketing Goes Green. We talk about big ideas from the book, how you can add to your network, how you can market better, and what you can do to make more money. That's coming up on this episode of the Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money. Work less and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
Laurel, you got the iPhone 6. You've actually had it for a while.
We both have the iPhone 6 now.
We do, but I'm the only one using mine.
Very true. I don't have a case yet.
Yeah, it's...
And I am not going to break that thing.
It's really scary. It's like holding a newborn baby. It feels so fragile.
It's all delicate and thin, and it's not good. I feel like if I just hold it, it's going to slip out of my hand.
Yeah.
And so, no, I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, but it looks great sitting on the table. And not even the edge of the table, the middle of the table. We don't want to bump it off.
Nope. Not until we get that case on it, which is hopefully coming tomorrow.
Yeah, we hope so. It's tough. You know, it's a brand new phone. We got it like the first day, and they don't have cases for it yet. They've got a few, but they don't even say iPhone 6 because they weren't sure that it was going to even be called the iPhone 6.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with brands like that.
The cutting edge of technology, that's what you are, Laurel Staples.
I know, which is hilarious because my last phone, the phone that I'm still using until I get a case, is the iPhone 3. And I'm telling you, it's like a baby going from like kind of crawling around on the floor to like running a marathon.
Yeah, it's like going from a Ford Pinto to a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's exciting.
This is the Red Podcast. Red stands for Real Entrepreneur Development. If you've got a message, this is the podcast for you. We are for writers, authors, bloggers, speakers, podcasters. We'll help you spread your message. We'll help you have longevity. This is not tips or tricks just to help you make more money. This is real-world advice to help you last as long as you want to last. We've been going at this for a while. We'll continue to do so, and we want to help you do the same. I got a book from Wiley, one of the top business publishers. They sent me this. It's called Guerrilla Marketing Goes Green. It's written by the king of guerrilla marketing, the man who put it on the map, Jay Conrad Levinson, and also Shel Horowitz. You know, I was in one of the guerrilla marketing books.
Were you? Which one?
It's called Guerrilla Marketing Job Escape Plan. I was talking about outsourcing in it. This is a great series, probably one of the best business series that I've found. We're going to talk about some big ideas from the book. The book is called Guerrilla Marketing Goes Green. These aren't necessarily green ideas, but they're the tried and true guerrilla marketing ideas that can take your business from, we'll say, zero to hero, even if you don't have a lot of money. That's really what guerrilla marketing is all about.
Today, we want to talk about some of the big ideas that we got from this book. And one of the first big ideas is networking, specifically networking that works, because not all networking works. And the authors give some tips about how to do effective networking.
Yeah, I like this a lot. We talk about it all the time here on Red Podcast, that you go to those networking events and it's just a hodgepodge of people. You got your real estate agents, your multi-level marketing guy, you've got attorneys. They're all just going for it. They want you to buy their stuff. They want you to buy a house from them. They're just going for it. And it's these random people. I didn't go there because I needed a house or because I need legal services. They're just hoping that somebody there is going to want their stuff. The first thing that they talk about here in the book, I really like this. They talk about identifying people that you want to connect with, not just showing up. And I think that that would work best when it comes to conferences, when it comes to events where you know people are going to be there, which is why most people never go to these general networking events.
I've never found much value in the general networking events. I mean, again, you show up to this room of people, you have no idea, they're all trying to pitch to you. It's just never really been effective for me. And I went to something similar this morning. It was a talk/networking event, and I just kind of showed up. I did what you shouldn't do, and it just didn't add much value. I didn't really meet many people that I wanted to stay in touch with. But when you and I went to a conference earlier this year, David, we actually looked up people that we wanted to connect with. We found them, we spoke with them. It just made for a much stronger connection and better results in the same amount of time that you're spending networking.
Speaking of conferences, it's worth saying that we've got a couple of previous episodes of Red Podcast where we talked about how to make the most of conferences. If you're interested in those, part 1, redpodcast.com/27. Part 2, redpodcast.com/28. We'll show you how to have greater conference success, give you a little bit more in-depth advice when it comes to networking with people. So I'm curious about your early morning networking event that you did. What was that like? You just show up? What do you do the first thing you walk into a room and you don't know anybody who's there?
I try to meet somebody.
And how do you do that?
I walk up to them. So I try to find somebody that isn't talking to anybody or that just arrived, because it's harder to enter into a conversation between two or more people. So I try to find someone that's not talking to anybody, or find somebody that I know. And then what I do is I ask that person if there's anyone else in the room that they would like to introduce me to that I should meet. And usually there is, 90% of the time there is. So I meet the next person, then ask them that same question. So I feel like I'm making quality contacts and I'm getting an introduction to each person, which I feel like helps me make those stronger connections and, quote, work the room, if you will.
Introductions are huge because otherwise you're just a random face in the room. Introductions give you that endorsement that is going to make somebody pay a little bit more attention to you. They actually talk about that in the Guerrilla Marketing book. He says, focus on quality and depth, not quantity. We've all seen that guy. He's got the stack of business cards, and he's going around just trying to pass them out. That's not the way to do it, in my opinion. The way to do it is base your connections on the number of cards and the quality of the people that you connect with. You want to be walking away with other people's cards, not having everybody have just a card from you, because that means nothing unless you back it up.
You and I were at an event the other day where we were talking to some people, and do you remember that guy that we were talking to that was scanning the room, trying to see if there was somebody else to talk to?
Oh, as we were talking to him.
We were talking to him, and I couldn't figure out if he had ADD, if we weren't interesting enough, or if he just really wanted to talk to other people. But don't do that. If you can make one good quality connection, that's 100 times better than handing out 20 business cards to people you talk to for a second.
Absolutely. And you want to be present with the people that are taking their time to talk to you. Even if you're not interested, you can excuse yourself. Don't look over their shoulder and scan. I think that guy was just socially awkward, honestly.
Probably.
Well, that's the problem. This was kind of a random event. We went to go see a guy speak. And the reality is there are just a lot of random people there. This guy wasn't a full-timer. He was kind of a hobbyist, and that's what you get when you go to more random events, or even situations like this where the main entertainment was an author that we knew and that people would know if we were to mention him, well-known author. That's a good reason for you to focus and curate the events that you actually go to, because like the people that you meet, you want quality there, not just quantity.
And kind of on that note, talking about that guy, what you want to do is listen more than you talk. Nobody wants your spiel. Nobody wants you to sell them anything. And the guy we were talking to, you kept asking him questions, and he didn't ask you anything or really reciprocate. So what you want to do is listen to the person more than you talk. If they ask you a question, ask them the same question. Really create a dialogue. And I know that sounds super basic, but so many people don't do it. I see this all the time.
Some of the advice in the book that I absolutely love, and this is very basic stuff, but it's always good to go back to it. He says, find a way to do something nice for your new acquaintance. Follow up rapidly with a handwritten thank you letter. And I think that's great. I love doing that when I'm on the road, when I'm at a conference, when I'm getting business cards. I actually take postcards with me says Big Bold Impact, the name of my website, bigboldimpact.com. And I'll say, like, hey, Laurel, great to meet you in Las Vegas. Put your address on it from your business card, pop a stamp on it, put it in the mail before I leave, so when you get home, there's something to reconnect you to the meeting that we had.
And because nobody else does that, you are really going to stand out and you're going to make an impression. And again, that's going to be a quality connection instead of just a quantity connection.
Yeah, you want to be somebody who can add value. And I love what they say about finding a way to do something nice for your new acquaintance. It could be something as simple as introducing them to somebody else at the event, or it could be sending them an article afterwards. Just think about what you can do. Usually it's information, introductions. Sometimes it's sending them a book. You've had that happen, Laurel, where you do an interview with somebody, they're really appreciative. They'll send you a book that was very special to them. That's a huge way to make a good connection because it actually comes through the mail. It's something they can use. Even if they don't read it, they'll still remember you.
Yeah, you're not going to forget somebody who takes the extra effort, who just met you to put a book in the mail for you.
Speaking of what we just talked about, where you've got these guys coming to networking events and they're pushing you on the multi-level marketing vitamin gummy bears or whatever the latest trend is. One of the big ideas from this Guerrilla Marketing Goes Green book, he talks about pull marketing. The way he described it, he says, this marketing is never intrusive. You're not just shoving some kind of gummy bear down somebody's throat. You're actually finding out what their needs are. You're getting to know them a little bit. And he gives great advice on how to do that. He talks about articles you can distribute to potential clients. Obviously, a website, a blog is great for that, papers. If you've got any kind of information to educate people on what it is that you do or can help them out, that's a really great way to get people to know about you. If you're not publishing articles, either PDF reports or the singles that you can download on Kindle, 99 cents, even though you're not making a lot of money on that, it can get the word out and it can be a marketing piece for you.
And I love their idea of pull marketing. I kind of think of it like most people are doing marketing like screaming through a megaphone, trying to get people to come to them, but people are going to be repelled from that. So I think of pull marketing as kind of like you become a magnet where people start to come to you. And I loved his advice about doing all that.
One of the ways to do it, writing and publishing a book. On the previous podcast, redpodcast.com/60, we reviewed a book that tells you how to do your book, or at least the first draft of it, in just 6 weeks. Putting a book out is a great way to educate people, and what's going to come from that? Well, more clients, more speaking engagements. Speaking is a great way to educate people. If you're interested in writing and publishing a book, not only redpodcast.com/60 is something great to listen to, we talked a lot about it, very in depth, in redpodcast.com/12. I've written several books. It's a great way to get more business. People think you're an authority when you've got a book. Who's on TV? People who are victims of crime, politicians, rock stars, movie stars, and authors.
And you definitely don't want to be the victim of a crime. So it's better to be an author if you want to get on TV. That's
Absolutely.
The moral of this
Especially
story.
if you want business. So teleseminars, webinars, one of the great things, speaking of authors, I really loved the idea of an assessment test. He talks about that in Guerrilla Marketing Goes Green. And Sally Hogshead, she wrote a book called Fascinate. Really, really good. And she's got a test that you can take. It's an assessment. And she tells you what makes you fascinating. Now, that's great information, right? You're curious, what makes me fascinating? You take the test, but Sally gets your information, and she's able to market to you in a very gentle way, not just shoving the vitamin gummy bear down your throat. Something else, Laurel, I used to do this. Do you remember that show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Absolutely.
So that was so hot. It was huge for a time. And when it was hot, I actually had a guy program a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire program on my website. It was just a trivia program. Put it on my website and gave people a quiz educating them about what they knew about the industry that I was in, but also letting them know what they didn't know. And what's going to happen if they don't know as much as they think? Well, that's a great way for them to hire me. I think that would still work. People love quizzes. People love trivia. So not only can you do an assessment, a quiz is a great way to do pull marketing, and it's something really, really easy. You can find scripts that are already done of trivia quizzes if you don't want to hire a custom programmer.
We've mentioned this before on the podcast, but you actually subscribe to Cosmo magazine, correct?
I do. I've got one right here on my desk.
And what's the one thing, besides going through all the copy that you look at in there, what's the one thing that I always open it to and tell you about?
Oh, yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, the quizzes.
Quizzes.
We'll be
People
sitting
love
down
that.
at night, and Laurel will, I guess, get entertained by asking me these silly little quizzes.
They're in every single issue. People love the quizzes. They love to find out something about themselves. And I think it's funny because they're obviously directed at women, but I ask you all the questions and just change all the he's and she's. And yeah, we don't get out much. It's amusing.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cosmo right now, and there's some headlines that I don't know that I would feel comfortable on a family podcast, Laurel.
Well, we'll just pass over that for now, and people can go get their own copy of Cosmo and take the quiz.
Yeah, it's great. I think that's a great example. Every magazine that there are quizzes, and it's not just the kind of the fluffy kind of magazines like Cosmo. If you look at Success, Entrepreneur, Wall Street Journal, there are quizzes in there.
And I point this out because these magazines wouldn't do it in almost every issue if people didn't like it and if it didn't work. So if you can bring that into your pull marketing strategy, it has the potential to work for you.
And here's the thing about pull marketing. The client is doing all of the work. So the more you can integrate this into your business, forget Facebook ads and the shoving the vitamin gummy bear down somebody's throat. Let them ask for it. They're more likely to buy. Great ideas in this book, Guerrilla Marketing Goes Green. This is something else we've talked about, abundance versus scarcity. The old way, there was one pie. It gets sliced up. If you've got a piece of the pie, I can't have it anymore. The new vision, it's not scarcity, not prosperity, but abundance. And that's not necessarily money. It's forming connections, getting to know people within your niche. It's marketing together and cooperatively instead of competitively. It's referring business to each other. One of the things that I did one time is I had books that we were selling, and I went to a competitor, if you want to call him that. I said, hey, I'm selling a lot of books, sending these things out. Why don't you guys send me some flyers with your subscription service? Let me throw that in the package. It's called a ride along, not costing them a thing except it cost them the paper. Let's say it cost them a nickel each. I throw them in there. Wasn't even wanting a commission, but think about the connection that I had with these guys after that. And then they could do the same for me, and I've definitely done that over the years. Subcontracting, joint ventures, merging, helping out when you can, and also geographic alliances. I love this. If you're in Nashville and I'm in Nashville, maybe there's something we can do to help each other out, and we wouldn't do that other places, but because we're in the same city, that's an opportunity. So there's all sorts of alliances that you can do. And I think approaching your business from that way not only gives you a lot of opportunity to make more money, it's also just a very, very easy way to do things, and you'll have a lot more fun.
I think of the coaching industry when we talk about this. And if you look at the people that are making a lot of money doing coaching, and that can be online courses, info products, group coaching, individual coaching, they're all getting rich together. Like they're all referring business to each other. They're marketing each other's products and courses, and they're all doing it together. And it's that cooperative approach. And when you take away the competition, you notice that you can get connected with people and kind of climb that ladder together and start making more money together. And I think when you change your mindset from scarcity to abundance, it's going to allow you to do that. And it's going to open a lot of doors and a lot of opportunity that you didn't see before when you were trying to be an island of one.
Yeah, you hear people talking about my customers or my audience. But the truth is, it's not anybody's audience. It's everybody's audience. Let's take it back to Cosmo. Don't you think a female subscribing to Cosmo is also going to be interested in Self, Sassy, Bust, Jane, other female-oriented magazines? Sure, absolutely, because nobody just does one of something. Everybody is going deep, and there's a big opportunity for you if you've got something that's similar to what somebody else is selling. This book, Guerrilla Marketing Goes Green, is by Jay Conrad Levinson and Shel Horowitz. We have it in the show notes. Just go to redpodcast.com/61. I love all of Jay Conrad Levinson's books that I've read. Really, really good stuff. If you're into the environment, if you're into new ways of doing business, maybe one that is cooperative rather than just outright competition, this book is full of good ideas for you. We talked about a few of them here. We talked about networking that works and ways to do that. Make your connections to build a bigger network so you know the people that can help you and you can help them. Talked about pull marketing. It's much more effective than what you're seeing normally, where you just push an ad down somebody's throat, push a product down somebody's throat. And also abundance versus scarcity. To me, that's really where business is going. It's not that old school business. You're seeing more and more people who believe in this. It's going to open up a lot of opportunities, especially when you put this with your pull marketing and networking that works. This book is full of great ideas. So check it out. redpodcast.com/61 has more information about it. If you've got questions, if you've got comments, if you've got a book you think that we should review, if you're a publisher, an author, or you're just a fan of something that you've read, talk to us at redpodcast.com. We're open to questions, comments, episode suggestions always, and you can help us out. If you listen via iTunes, leave us a rating, leave us a review. That will help us come up more frequently and higher up in the search engines. We'll be able to build this Red Podcast Real Entrepreneur community. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Red Podcast.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.